Save money now by not spending and wasting so much. Save more later by limiting cost of health care and loss of income. U.S. spends more on food than any other country. We also have greater medical expenses, with shorter life expectancies than all other developed countries. So what's the problem? The problem is overeating and under-exercising. I'm Dr. James Hurd, a specialist in preventive behavioral medicine and cardiovascular rehabilitation. In the U.S., for every person, every day, we spend about $14 to buy about 3,500 kilocalories of food. Half the money is spent in grocery stores and half in restaurants or for takeout. Wherever the money is spent, about 30% is wasted. About $4 of food for every person is wasted every day. The greatest waste for meals purchased away from home is for meat and seafood that doesn't get eaten. The most wasted at home is fruit and vegetables. Totals of $1.35 are wasted for meat and seafood, $1.08 for fruit and vegetables, 37 cents for grain, 23 cents for dessert, and 18 cents for dairy. The amount spent on food in the U.S. is more than anywhere else. But household income is much higher than anywhere else. So the percent of household spending on food ends up being much less than anywhere else. In the U.S., 10% of household income, about $5,000, is spent purchasing, processing, and presenting food. In China, 20% of household income is spent on food. In India, 30% of income is spent on food. Much more is spent on food in developed countries than in countries with lower household incomes. It is possible to save money on food in the U.S. About half the U.S. crops of corn, wheat, and soy are used to feed livestock. The food eventually eaten as meat is 5 to 10 times more expensive than the cost of food energy in the grain crops. Also, food prepared and eaten at home is less than half the cost of food prepared and presented away from home. The main expense in preparing, processing, and presenting food is cost of transportation. Transporting between farms, production facilities, processing plants, markets, stores, restaurants, and homes, followed closely by the cost of the agricultural industry, mechanical equipment and human labor, fertilizer, and chemicals. Also, cost of electricity used everywhere. Finally, there is the cost of human labor at home and in restaurants. A further waste of food is caused by overeating and under-exercising. In the U.S., that's more than 20% of all the energy consumed in food and drink. The ideal body composition for men includes less than 20% body fat and more than 35% skeletal muscle. For women, the ideal includes less than 25% body fat and more than 30% skeletal muscle. The ideal body weight for men at 69 inches is 160 pounds. For women, ideal body weight at 64 inches is 130 pounds. Energy requirements for men with ideal body composition, average height, and moderate physical activity is 2,000 kilocalories per day. For women, 1,600 kilocalories per day. In the U.S., the average body weight for men is about 200 pounds, which is substantially overweight. The average caloric consumption to maintain that average weight with moderate physical activity is 2,500 kilocalories per day. That's 25% more than required for men with ideal body composition and moderate physical activity. The average body weight for obese men in the U.S. is more than 230 pounds. Moderate physical activity uses 2,700 kilocalories per day. That's 37% greater than required for men with ideal body composition and moderate physical activity. Caloric requirements for women are about 30% less than for men at each level. About 1/3 of men and women in the U.S. have ideal body composition and moderate physical activity. About 1/3 are overweight, and the other 1/3 are obese. The metabolic waste of food associated with obesity and type 2 diabetes is at least 20%. Greater costs of overeating and underexercising arise from the long-term economic burden of abdominal obesity and loss of skeletal muscle. Here's where there's really some money to be saved. Both increased costs of health care and decreased income make overweight, obesity, and type 2 diabetes very expensive. We know that overeating and underexercising cause higher healthcare costs because of associated disease and disability. Higher incidence of heart attack, stroke, cancer, and dementia. In general, decreasing 10 pounds of excess body weight decreases costs of deductibles, co-payments, and medical insurance about $400 a year. Decreasing excess weight associated with abdominal obesity saves more than $2,000 a year. The greatest savings of money lost because of overeating and underexercising come from avoiding loss of income. People with overweight, obesity, and type 2 diabetes miss more work days than people with ideal body weight and strong muscles. European studies using questionnaires, surveys, and national registries have evaluated personal incomes. In general, reducing 10 pounds of excess body weight avoided a 2% loss of income, an amount more than double the savings from reduced health care costs. Preventing loss of income by reducing abdominal obesity and type 2 diabetes avoids up to 10% loss. Adding in lost opportunities for promotion, job transfers, and early retirements causes substantially greater total loss of income. As time goes by, adults in the U.S. tend to gain 1 or 2 pounds every year. That's not much every year, but it's 30 or 40 pounds by age 60 years. Increase in percent body fat by age 60 is about 10%. But loss of skeletal muscle is 15% in men and 10% in women. Loss of skeletal muscle just about parallels the decrease in physical activity. For most adults at 30 years of age, energy consumed in food is about the same as energy required for metabolic and physical work. By age 60, most adults are still consuming the same amount of energy, but doing much less physical work. They're losing muscle and gaining fat. What everybody else is doing is pretty much up to them, but what you and your family can do is keep muscles strong, exercise regularly, and avoid increasing body fat. You'll perform better, enjoy good health, live longer, and save money. A pretty good investment. If you would like to participate in our type 2 diabetes recovery program, you should sign up. Click on the link in the video description. After you sign up, you will be asked to register and supply a few points of data concerning date of birth, smoking history, height, weight, blood sugar, and daily injections of insulin. We will call you and establish secure communication links for reporting and reviewing results, starting with fasting blood sugar, basal heart rate, and body weight. Then I will call you to ask about your medical history with type 2 diabetes. Also, we will discuss details of your goals and objectives for recovery from diabetes. In addition, we will set up an action plan for recovery. There is no charge for this service, as long as you continue to report on a regular schedule and continue to work towards recovery from diabetes. We are dedicated to helping people recover from type 2 diabetes and maintain good health using telehealth technology.